Listen, we do a lot of things to overcomplicate our relationships. But today I want to share one concept that I think will help greatly simplify your relationship. It's kind of a secret sauce for love. So what if I told you that one of the most counterintuitive things to do in a relationship is also one of the most powerful keys to the success of a relationship long term? It's a key to intimacy and connection in a relationship. That one concept is what I want to talk about today on Relationshots. Welcome to Relationshots. My name's Eric Wooten. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome. Go ahead and click the subscribe button so you can join the family and the bell notification so you don't miss upcoming videos. So today I want to talk about one concept that will greatly change a relationship. I promise you. It's really not that difficult, but it is unnatural and it is counterintuitive. It's one word. It's called validation. Validation is simply seeking to understand and empathize with your spouse's point of view. But get this, it doesn't mean that you have the same point of view of them. It doesn't mean that you fully agree with them. It's seeking to understand and empathize even when your point of view may be different than their point of view. So in a lot of relationships, what happens is we try to resolve conflict and we can't resolve conflict, and it seems that it begins to escalate and it actually becomes greater than the conflict we started with. Does that ring a bell? Well, the reason is because we don't feel understood or heard, and so the conflict escalates. So tell me if this sounds about right. You're having a conflict with your spouse, or maybe just think about your last fight with your spouse. You started talking, and if I asked you the question, did you feel like they understood you, or did you feel like what you were trying to share, your point of view, your feelings, were either misunderstood, minimized, or completely dismissed? Yeah, okay. So when that happened, did that make it harder for you to actually now listen to their point of view or even have a willingness to try to understand their point of view? And then did that lack of understanding on both sides lead to greater disconnection in the relationship? Am I getting warm yet? That's what happens in a lot of relationships. Our inability to understand and empathize with our spouse leads to isolation. Listen, a lack of validation will always lead to isolation because now you feel like they didn't understand you and you're stuck alone with your experience and your feelings. But at the same time, they still want you to understand their point. And a lot of times their view includes some bad things about you or some things you did wrong, which you're not going to be receptive to because you still don't feel like they've taken the time to understand you. That's why validation is so important to the relationship. See, the problem is we really can't move into conflict resolution unless validation has first taken place. But we oftentimes wrongly believe that validation is now an endorsement and an agreement in their point of view. I'm telling you it's not. You can validate someone without endorsing how they feel or their point of view, without even agreeing with their feelings or point of view. You can still validate those things. So let's get practical for a minute. What does that practically look like? Let's just take any scenario. For example, let's say that your wife has been at times joking about the wrinkles on their forehead and wanting to get Botox or something. And so you don't think it's a big deal because they've joked about it. You're out at a dinner party. She brings it up and you kind of jump in and join the crowd and say some things, not thinking anything of it. And then as soon as you get in the car, she unloads on you. I can't believe you said those kind of things in front of my friends. That's so embarrassing. Now you're at a crossroads. Here's the moment of truth. Are you going to validate, or are you going to just say some things that may be true but are certainly not validating? So let's see some examples of truth that's not validating. You may say something like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal because you joke about it all the time. That may be true, but that's not validating their experience at the moment. Or you may say something like, nobody even really noticed and heard what I said. That may be true, but that's not validating in the moment. Or maybe you say something like, you do that to me all the time when we're out with friends, which that may be true, but in the moment, that is not validating. So what does it look like to validate your spouse's experience in the moment? It's simply responding with something like this. Sorry, babe, I didn't mean to hurt you or embarrass you in front of your friends. Period. Not but, not anything else, just period. That's validating their experience. Now, all those other things may be true, But in the moment, what you're trying to do is you're trying to validate their experience so they feel heard and understood at that moment. People are always more receptive to truth once they feel like they're heard and understood. So when it comes to validation, always remember, validation comes first, truth comes second. And it may not even come at that moment. It may be better a little bit further down the road. So how do we go about validating our spouse on a regular basis? I think that at the end of the day, you got to understand it's really about listening. So think of the acronym EAR, E-A-R, empathize, ask, and rest. E, empathize. You want to empathize with how they're feeling, which means putting yourself in their shoes and removing yourself from the situation for a minute. This is not about you. At this moment, it does nothing to do with you. What you're trying to do in this moment is put yourself in their shoes and understand how they might be feeling and picture yourself in the situation. That will often help. Second step is ask. Ask them about their experience and their feelings and how that must have been for them. That may be simply as saying, boy, I'm sorry about that. How did you feel when I did that? And then just listen. And then the last one is rest. Rest in the tension of their feelings. See, we have a hard time in relationships. We often don't like sitting in the tension knowing that our spouse is unhappy. We want to make everything right. We want to get them happy again and make sure the relationship's good. It's okay to rest. Feelings take time to come back around sometimes. It takes a little bit of time to heal when you've been hurt. You need to be comfortable resting in their pain. At the end of the day, you may think I'm trying to get them out of it for their case, but really it's about you. You don't like the feeling of them being hurt or upset with you, and you want to quickly fix it. So rest in the tension together. Couples that are healthy are couples that are good at validating one another when they get into a conflict, because validation will always be the path to restoration again. Save the facts for later. Validate in the moment, and this will lead to the path of restoration and conflict resolution in your relationship. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section below and talking with you a little bit more about this. And as always, if you think this will be helpful to a friend, go ahead and consider sharing it with them. I look forward to talking with you next time right here on Relation Shots.